Just to give people some background, the film takes place in Finland in 1944. This is basically the end of the war, the end of World War II. The Nazis know they're losing, so they decide to do a slash and burn. So we're out in the plains, I guess, of Finland in this place called Lapland, which is the middle of nowhere, which makes things really interesting. So I call this movie, I say it's like part spaghetti western, part Rambo, part John Wick, part Mad Max Fury Road, some ultra-violent anime thrown in there, and you kind of make that up into a meatball, give it a heart, and you get SISU. I thought the hero, to me, he kind of looked like Bryan Cranston and Clint Eastwood had a middle-aged badass baby kind of thing. And he's so, rugged. He looks like he eats shrapnel for breakfast. There's so much action and carnage in this thing. It's a perfect movie if you want to see some Nazis get, exploded. Where its strength lies, it's incredibly simple. It's very straightforward. There are no subplots. It's like a galloping horse running in one direction. It occasionally does stop to breathe, so that, our hero can pull some bullets and shrapnel out of himself. It's a game of this hide and seek, but because of the Btrayed, there's no place to hide. One of the movies that the director referenced that was a big inspiration to him was Rambo First Blood. But in that movie, he's in a forest, so he's got places to go and hide, and he has the advantage. But in this, it's you've got tanks and a whole company of Nazis coming after you, and there's nowhere to go, which I thought just gave it not only a great plot element, but also gave it a beautiful look. I noticed that a lot of the scenes looked like they were shot at sunset, so they shot during golden and magic hour. We saw it at the Dolby 88, which has a great sound system. The sound design of this movie is tremendous. You hear all of this great stuff in it, and it gives us this real sense of realism, and that's juxtaposed by the score, which was used quite sparingly, I thought. It only comes in key moments, but it's this really sort of ethereal, haunting, almost like this supernatural element of a score.
It was a little eerie.
Yeah, it's like this really eerie kind of thing. I would say that the other big element, of course, was the graphic violence. Was this too violent for you?
No, honestly, I think that
because I know you're not a horror movie fan.
It was a lot of excitement. It was just, I think I was so excited that the horror part of it and the gore, it just went away because it was much needed. It was much needed. And
it's a lot of fun too. It's to me, it looked almost like it reminded me of sort of an anime violence, like in an animated cartoon, like Japanese anime. Or something out of a heavy metal comic.
Kill Bill. More of a Kill Bill.
Lots of Tarantino in there, Yeah. But it works. And there are times where they use the laughter and they use the violence to get laughs.
Yes.
There's a couple of great laughs in the movie where even though it's very serious in a lot of ways, you get these great moments of levity where, because it's just ridiculous. The violence is so over the top at some points. I think my one sort of criticism of the movie is there are a few of these moments where you're why, just shoot him. Why don't they just shoot him? Because they don't shoot him. And they have him they have him dead to rights a couple of times.
Yes.
And there's a couple of times where he survives where you're okay, this guy why is he not dead? But they kind of explain it. He's almost like a superhero.
Yeah.
He's got almost like Wolverine powers kind of thing where he just sort of regenerates. The other criticism is, so in this movie we've got our hero, this grizzled, silent, strong silent type, literally he never talks. And then we have the Nazis who are pursuing him. And then the Nazis have kidnapped these women that they're abusing, which gave me the Mad Max Fury Road vibes. Mm-hmm. And there's one sort of hero woman who talks, and the rest of them I don't think speak at all.
I don't think they had any lines.
And she gets some great stuff. Our hero lady does get some great stuff, but the rest of those characters really don't get any character development. They do a lot visually, though, where you do kind of see what's happened to them. You can tell by the way they react, you can tell by the way they look, and you can also, see it in their attitude. There's a lot of good silent acting.
Yes.
Actually, the most lines are the Nazis. The Nazis actually, they're bad guys, but and they're very bad guys. Like,
You think?
yeah, these are not your comic, Nazis. These are not Mel Brooks
He
Nazis.
was heartless.
These are, we're going to burn everything down, kill everybody, kidnap some women and rape them Nazis.
Yes.
But they do get some decent development. There's a point in the story where you're like, well, why are they doing this? Like, this guy is, he's killed a bunch of their guys, and why are they? But it's like, well, the war's ending.
Mm-hmm.
We don't really have a lot of options. Let's get this guy's gold.
Yeah.
The main standout is our hero, played by an actor called Yorma Tamila, and he's like I said, literally the strong silent type. Even though he doesn't really say anything in the film, he's doing so much because not only with his presence, but the stuff that they say about him, has a lot. And he's got this big dilemma. So he's got 500 and something miles to go to a city, and everything in between the middle of nowhere where he's prospecting and where he needs to get to is just nothingness. I don't know exactly where they shot it because I don't know Finland geography, but they did have some great, from what sets they did have some great stuff, like these burnt down towns and things like that. And some really great special effects, great over-the-top stunts. One question is, I would say, like, who is this movie for? I always ask, like, if you recommend a movie, who is it for? I would say not for the faint of heart. If you can't laugh at ridiculous violence, then if you take this too seriously, it's not going to be for you, because the action is very strong. It's over the top. And, I even asked him about the rating, and this is a hard R. Mm-hmm. There's no sex in the movie. There's no real nudity or anything, except for, I think you see that guy naked, but
no, he was half. He put on his suspenders.
Right.
It was just to make you know what was happening to the girls in the truck.
Right. So you never see any of that stuff.
Right. You don't see
it.
it.
The main part of it is the violence.
Yes.
So if you can't deal with violence, this is not for you. If you are, I find it almost refreshing now to see a real rated R movie in a theater, because everything is like PG-13 now.
Yes.
But so if you like action, if you don't mind violence, if you can laugh when it gets utterly ridiculous and suspend your disbelief, highly recommend the movie.